So talk to me about king, the image of the king. Why is that such a big deal in
So,
Exodus 90?
yeah, so I would just say that throughout the whole year, we have different challenges. So it's typically at the beginning of the year in January, we're going through Exodus with our formal Exodus 90
Mhm.
program experience, but we offer daily personal formation for men. And so throughout the summer months, we have an experience that we call Kings of Summer. And this year, we're reading through First Samuel, which is when we see the emergence of of the kings of the Israelites for the first time in Saul, and ultimately in David, God's beloved. And so, really this experience is about, summer is especially here in the United States, it's a different vibe, right? It's just a
Yes.
different vibe than the fall. It's a different vibe than the winter months, and our needs, our formation needs are different as well. And so what we're focused on this year is, as we read this book, hopefully embrace, really kind of forming our men in a spirit of like a Catholic vision for leisure, true recreation, entering into rest, especially on the Sabbath, but
Hmm.
also, in the periods of just normal life where we're on vacation and on holiday, on rest. How do we do that well while giving our minds and hearts and sharing with our families like the higher things, of life that life is really for? Because, right, in a Catholic vision, I don't know. One of the things that's so interesting, I always go back to Exodus. I'm sorry. It's kind of like the filter through which I look at everything. But it's like the reason why Pharaoh doesn't want to let the people go is there's work to do, and he makes it harder for them, when they want to be free to worship, he makes it harder for them to fulfill their daily work. And, all throughout the story of the people of Israel, there's just this struggle with rest. And there's all these verses, all these questions of the people like, well, like, how are you going to provide for us, on the seventh day? And it's like, well, God's going to lay you 2 days worth on the sixth day. But I think this kind of reaches its definitive like expression of God, will you provide for me in the command of the Jubilee year? Okay, which is obviously this is a very special
Hmm.
year for us as Catholics, and how we've developed this tradition over time is different, obviously, than what it was. But what it was intended to be was after 50 years, after 7 of these 7-year cycles, after we have the day of rest on Sunday, we have the year of rest after 6 years, after 7 of these cycles, not after the year of rest, we have a whole nother year of rest, right? It's like crazy, and I don't know. I've just been down deep on this, kind of studying this, and this is why. Oh, I mean, it's because we have not been honoring the rest, that we, got the Lord hands us over, to our enemies. Ultimately, why we suffer the exile, in
That's
Babylon,
right.
and also it frames up when Jesus comes, when God comes among
Right.
us. It's all related to our lack of observance of rest.
Right.
So this element of rest, of entering into, the seventh day of rest that our Lord, God observes Himself, is so important for us. And I think the summer is just a beautiful time to really enter into the spirit of rest well. So our Kings of Summer experience, has a couple of different moving elements, working through the first book of Samuel. But I'd say that the thematic or the invitation is ultimately to holy rest, resting well in months that typically lend themselves, better to that. Now, I do have a real place in my heart for men in the trades. That's just not true at all. The summer heat can be a real burden and can be really oppressing. And so I do kind of want to call that to mind. We do have many students, many teachers, though, who literally, don't go to work. So it's we're kind of parsing a couple of threads here in our choice of this theme. But the point I would just say, kind of by way of conclusion, is I think sometimes Exodus 90 can get a bit misunderstood as it's all about this discipline thing. It's all about this asceticism thing. I don't look at it that way. I look at it very much as a formation in freedom, and the liturgical calendar guides us, I think, in the things we should be focused upon when.
Thanks for watching. Before you go, please be sure to subscribe, like, hit the bell, leave a comment down below. All of that stuff helps us reach more souls.